What is going on, everybody? You are back on another edition of Ballin Over Beers. I am Justin Dueppengiesser, and I am joined, as always, by my guy, AK Howe. AK, this is the U.S. Open PGA Bets and Draftkings show. It's major season. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I love where golf is heading right now. Little fight on the Corn Ferry Tour today. All the stuff going on with Brooks and Bryson. I don't think people thought this is what we needed this summer, but golf is really stepping up its entertainment game.
Yeah, you weren't kidding. I did. I saw that the Monday Q Twitter guy tweeted that out, that there was a little bit of a fight and arrest and everything on the Corn Ferry Tour. So a lot of action going on for a Monday here on golf. Pretty wild. But yeah, so the PGA, they're headed over to Torrey Pines for the U.S. Open. Just got done with the Palmetto tournament, which was, just pretty much a disaster for me from a betting and DraftKings standpoint. Just didn't have a good feel on the tournament to begin with. I actually went pretty light on it for that reason. I didn't like it very much, but excited to be back for the major here at Torrey. Should be pretty interesting with the field that we got. What we're going to do, we'll go like we do every time, is we'll go range by range. We'll talk about betting odds, who we like there. We'll talk about DraftKings pricing kind of at the same time, since they kind of coincide with each other, and kind of go it that way. Just real brief course overview. Everybody kind of knows what's Torrey is. You see it. They play the Farmers here every year. I don't think it's going to play like they have it for the Farmers. It's going to be different. The rough is going to be way up. It's going to play long. It's an extremely long course. It's going to be hard to hit greens. It's going to be firm. It's going to be fast. It is going to be, as we've seen from all the other events here, or in the past for the U.S. Open in general. It's the big boys come out to play and come out to win. It's been DJ, Brooks twice, Spieth, Gary Woodland. Generally speaking, you need to be a bomber. You need to be long off the tee. And I'm going to be focusing quite a bit on the length, the driving distance off the tee this week. With, you got to have an all-around game. Obviously, you can't just be a hit the ball a mile and then suck everywhere else. But I'm going to be focusing quite a bit on driving distance this week. But interesting betting board for this week. We'll start up right up top with the people under 20. John Rahm at 10-1, which is just wild. And then you got Brooks at 16, DJ at 16, Bryson at 18, and Xander at 18. I love Rahm. Obviously Rahm is coming off of the last time we saw him. He was up, 6 strokes at the Memorial, and then was told he had to withdraw because of COVID. Found out he had 2 negative tests, so he should be back. But the last time we saw him, he was in great form. But man, 10-1 is wild. From the top of the board here, are you liking anybody as far as betting, or who do you have your preference of up top for DraftKings wise?
Well, DraftKings and the betting board are a little different because Spieth is the second highest priced guy on DraftKings this week. But
yes, he is.
If I was betting, I kind of really like Rahm, but that would be the only bet I make. So I'm kind of debating between going all in on Rahm or splashing a little bit around a couple other guys.
Yeah, that's, I can't pull the trigger at 10, but I can definitely see the argument. If you're going to do it, make that your only bet kind of, and go all in on them. I'll tell you, I'm looking pretty hard at Brooks at 16. I think that's pretty interesting value right there. When you look at the DK pricing, Brooks 10-1, Bryson 10-4, DJ 10-7, Spieth 10-9, Rahm 11-2. I think in that range, my 2 favorite guys are Brooks and Rahm. So Brooks at the bottom 10-1, Rahm at the top at 11-2. It'll be interesting to see kind of where they come in ownership wise. If you had to rank those guys on DK above 10K, do you have 2 favorites from that range, or who would you like to bet?
11-2 is a lot of salary to chew up. Brooks at 10-1 is pretty juicy. Even Bryson at 10-4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay away from DJ this week, and I don't think I can spend 10-9 on Spieth either.
Yeah, the DJ is an interesting one. He's obviously been playing pretty okay. I don't think I'm gonna get there either. And like you said, the Spieth, man, I don't know. I don't know what to do with Spieth yet because he's been playing so well, but I don't know if I can pull the trigger on that. I actually looked him at the betting odds. If I do, I might bet him and leave it there. But he comes in the range of people under 40. So Spieth and Rory are 20. Then you have Morikawa and JT at 22, Cantlay and Finau at 25, Patrick Reed and Victor Hovland at 28. And those are everybody. That's everybody under 40 right there. In this range, I've already bet Victor Hovland. I got him at 28. I talked about how I'm going to emphasize super bombers, and he fits that mold. He's $9,200 on DraftKings. I think I think I might honestly just bet him and not play him. I think he's going to be super, super popular in the DraftKings world. So I think it's just a bet for me. But I'm looking hard at a couple of the guys in this range. I really, I think Rory at 20 is really interesting. I think JT at 22 is really interesting. Patrick Reed at 28 is really interesting. I got some tough decisions to make. Are you leaning any way in this range? Are you going to make any bets in this range?
I am really in love with Rory right now. The last 4 events, excuse me, um, he's gained more than 4 shots on approach. He's gained more than 4 shots on approach in his last 3 events. He plays Torrey Pines historically well. 2 top 5 finishes in his third time. I think it was like a top 20. And 20-1 is just, I think, a generous number for Rory right now.
Yeah, and that, his off the tee game hasn't been like Rory-esque, but it's still been good, right? And like you just mentioned, the thing that I see on it is the same thing with the approach game. His approach game has been, his irons have been absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
And at 20-1,
And
man, does that seem like just a juicy number? Like that's the guy that him and like JT. So JT is kind of the same way, right? JT, he has been
right.
interesting at 22. Like, his best putting surfaces are pole and bent. So bent by a pretty considerable margin, but pole, he's in the positive too. Like at the Memorial, he gained 3 on approach and 4.1 off the tee. He just lost 8.4 putting. So like he was great everywhere except for on the greens. And now we get a green where he likes it better and he's gaining like that off on approach and off the tee. Like he's not a bomber. He's not like a super bomber, but he hits it long enough off the tee that, you're hitting your irons that well. I don't know. He's, JT's third in my custom stat model on Fantasy National in the last 24 rounds as well. So I don't know. I'm looking at Rory and him at 20 and 2022. It's really tough to get away from those numbers to me right now.
That's kind of where I've been. I just talked about going all in on Rahm, and my other option is Rory and JT. I kind of like the Rory JT just because, we talked about it before. You're betting guys to play their A game of golf.
Yep.
No one's going to win this tournament playing their B game.
No.
Someone's going to come in and play an A game. And if Rory can get his, off the tee dialed in just a tad bit more with his short game right now, he could walk away with it. And JT, if he can get his putting, back, he could walk away with it. I mean, you can say that for any of the top guys, but at 20 and 22, it's pretty juicy numbers for 2 of the top 5 guys in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting double the odds of Jon Rahm, like literally. Like Rahm is 10.
Yeah.
These guys are, is Rahm twice as likely to win? Probably not compared to those two.
Well, and then if you really think about it, if you're going to put 100 on Rahm, you could put 50 on both those guys, get the same payout, and you're getting 2 guys for the price of 1. Yeah. And your win equity is probably substantially higher with Rory and JT than just betting on Rahm.
Just one guy. No, I agree. And I like those guys quite a bit. But Xander, he's $9,300, so he's in this range where the betting range is. So Rory's 9.9, JT 9.7, Morikawa 9.5, X 9.3, Hovland 9.2, Cantlay 9.1, Reed 9,000 on DraftKings. So Xander's in that price range on DK as these guys, but he's getting the 18-1 respect, which I don't understand. And I do like him quite a bit this week on DraftKings. He's like never finished outside the top 10 in the US Open. He's a West Coast guy. He went to San Diego State. He plays on polo greens all the time. He's just so solid in his all-around game. So I definitely like him for DraftKings, but the betting doesn't make sense to me there. And then the other guy that I like even at 25 is Patrick Cantlay, who we just saw win the Memorial, and a guy that's really rounding into form. He's seventh in my custom stat model on Fantasy National in the last 24 rounds, and 7.9 and 6.1 on approach in his last two times out. Like, I mean, you could really close your betting card off right there if you want Rory, JT, and Cantlay, and you could have a pretty good card for the week.
Yeah. But there's no one else I really like in there. I wish Patrick Reed's number was a little bit lower than 28.
Yeah, so that Reed
I thought he would come in at like 35, but I can't get him at 28.
28 to 35 number because he wins,
Yeah.
So, that next range we'll go everything under 60. So 40 to 60, you got Hideki and Scotty Scheffler at 40. You got Will Z at 45. Berger, Lowry, Hatton, Webb all at 50. Cam Smith, Louis Oosthuizen, Paul Casey all at 55. So those are your guys under 60. I have not bet any of these guys, but I do like a couple of the guys specifically in DraftKings, Will Zalatoris and Shane Lowry. I like them quite a bit in this range. As far as the betting's concerned, on DraftKings, Will Z 8,600, and Lowry's I think he's considerably lower. Yeah, he's 76. So you could see kind of the betting difference in the DK pricing difference. I think the pricing's wrong on Lowry. I think 7,600 is way too low. He's one of my favorite plays this week on DraftKings. He's been playing really good golf, and
yes, he has.
The betting market reflects it, but the DraftKings pricing does not.
There's someone else I like in there. I've bet him a couple times this year already, and that's Paul Casey. He's in his last four majors. He's finished 2nd, 17th, 26th, and 4th. This year, he's 37th in driving distance. So for being in his 40s, he still can get off the tee pretty well. And I don't know if I like him to win bet, but I do like a top 5 or top 10 bet. And at 7,900, I think he's a good DraftKings play as well.
Yeah, I think Casey's a good play. I think people are going to play him. He's projected right now right around 16% owned, which makes sense. He's very solid at everything he does, and he's only 7,900. Again, another guy that I think the betting market is giving a little bump to, and I think they have to because of those placement points. If you're betting each ways and stuff, they got to keep it down a little bit like that.
Right.
Next range here, we'll go from 60 to 100. Justin Rose, Matthew Fitzpatrick at 60. Eric Higo off of his win at the Palmetto at 66. Abe Answer, Jason Kokrak, Joaquin Neiman, and Phil Mickelson at 70. Chuck Hoffman, Corey Connors, Mark Leishman, Tommy Fleetwood all at 80. So those are guys from 60 to 80. I have bet Jason Kokrak. I got him at 80 to 1. He's already down to 70 to 1. He was at 100 when he first started. I think kind of like Lowry, I think this is a mispricing. He's $7,600 on DraftKings. He's second in my model right now. He's somebody that's just been playing really good golf for a few months right now. His last finishes, so he won the Charles Schwab. Then he was 49th, 13th, 49, 9, 8, 9. He's rattled off a bunch of top 10s in there. He hasn't lost on approach in any of those. He's actually been putting really well, which used to be his kind of biggest downfall. I think that he pounds the ball off the tee, which I'm going to have a huge emphasis on this week. He hits his irons super well. His long irons really well. So I really like Kokrak this week as a bet and as a DraftKings play.
I know we talked about it before. We already have money on Neiman this week, and that's pretty much the only person in that range I'm going to be having money on.
All right. And then when you get up above the 100 mark, you get your guys like Adam Scott, Gary Woodland, Harris English, Max Homa, Sungjae Im all at 100. And then, some deep shot guys that are down there. I bet Max Homa at 100. I really like Homa this week as a bet. I also like him as a play on DraftKings. He's $7,300 on DraftKings. Again, he's a West Coast guy. He hits it far enough off the tee. Poa is his best putting surface. The last time we saw him at the Memorial, he gained 2.1 on approach and 2 strokes off the tee. So he's been playing, pretty well, and seems to play the tough events pretty well. So 6 at Memorial, 6 at Valspar, another really traditionally a hard, difficult course. 10th at the API, 1st at Genesis. So some really tough tracks where he kind of shows up and he plays well. So I like him quite a bit. And at 100, I think that you get great value there. There's somebody else down here. Oh, Matt Wallace. Matt Wallace at 200 to 1 is just a crazy number. Bet him, and I'll bet him probably top 20. And then I think that's it from down there for me. Anybody you like down below here?
I was looking at Adam Scott a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to pull a trigger on him. I had 100 to 1. He's so inconsistent, but if he gets it going, I could see it going. And I know I'm not going to bet Matt Wolf, but man, what a crazy world that last year Matt Wolf was probably 40 to 1 at the US Open, and now he's 200 to 1.
Yeah, he's
and he just fell apart. And
yeah, he's way down.
But you just seen Mickelson come in at 201. So like we said, if he comes in with his A game, I mean, he has a chance to compete, but most likely Wolf's going to come in with his D- game and miss the cut.
Yeah, no, I think I'm off Wolf this week. I mean, like you said though, it's not the worst bet in the world. There are some guys that are. I mean, the thing is with the U.S. Open, you got guys that I literally have never even heard of down here that are just, you can pretty much cross them off the list. There's legitimately probably 50 guys maybe that'll compete. I mean, there hasn't been a winner outside the top 30 in official world golf ranking of the US Open in years. So I think it's like the last 10 or 11 winners or something like that have all been inside the top 30. So this like I said at the beginning, this is a big boy tournament, right? So you got to really bring your A game when you come down to that. Some of the long shots or some of the guys, the scrubby guys down below, like Matt Wallace is 7,100. So I think that's a good DraftKings play. If you keep going down the board underneath 7,000. I don't know what I'm going to do with this Wilco Nina. I can't even say his last name, Nienaber or whatever. So he played last week, and the dude just absolute hammers the ball. He finished 14th at Palmetto, but he is he's the furthest in the field. Like, he outdrives Bryson by 10 yards. Like, he just hammers the ball. He's 6,900. I feel like he's going to be pretty popular, but he's pretty interesting there. A guy like Johnny Vegas, $6,800. He's third in the field in driving distance. I think that he's a pretty interesting one, and he's been playing pretty decent as of late, I think. So, he gained 7.7 off the tee at Palmetto and 3.5 on approach. He's not a great putter, but I mean, down here, if you're going to put the emphasis on one thing, it's going to be, driving distance, and that's what he does really well. So I kind of like him as a guy under 7K.
There's a lot of guys under 7K this week. Obviously, with it being the U.S. Open, you got a lot of guys that making their first career start, as you would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys under 7K, but there's not a lot of guys you can play.
Right. So it's going to be very interesting and see, one or two of them make the cut or sneak into the top 20 or something. You're going to have a huge advantage over the field of being probably 0.06% owned, but it's pretty tricky. And
Yeah,
I like the low sevens more than the
yeah,
sixes, but I mean that's the risk with playing ROM. You're gonna have to sprinkle down in that range and get
yeah.
lucky.
I think with down here, guys like Johnny Vegas, even maybe like a Dylan Fratelli, who is 15th in the field in driving distance, pretty good around the green, 16th and around the green. Um, he's somebody that I might look to. If I try to get like super aggressive up top and maybe pair a Rom and a Bryson or a Rom and a Brooks or somebody like that together. Eric Ben
Yeah.
is down here. He is at 6,700. He played last week pretty decently at Palmetto, finishing 10th. He had 4.6 on approach, 4.7 on the greens. Poa is preferred, so he's coming in with pretty good form. Um, there are some sprinkles down here. There's not many though. There is not many that I would want to play under 7K. AK, why don't you go ahead? We'll wrap this up. This is a nice quick show here for the U.S. Open. Tell them what maybe your favorite bets are or favorite DraftKings plays are, and then I'll go through mine.
I think my favorite DraftKings play, I know it's a little chalky, but Paul Casey this week with his price range and how consistent he is, getting you a top, 20. And then I think for betting, I'm leaning really hard to the Rory JT card and then sprinkling someone else in there to round out a threesome with those guys.
Nice, yeah. Paul Casey, he is $7,900, and a lot of the shots at Torrey Pines come from 200 plus proximity, and right now he is first in the field in the last 24 rounds from that distance. So he's a pretty steady guy. He's definitely somebody that if you're playing cash games, you can plug him into your lineup at $7,900, and really you're going to be able to build, pretty balanced lineups there. Um, so for me right now on the betting card, I have bet Victor Hovland at 28, Jason Kokrak at 80, Max Homa at 100, and Matt Wallace at 200. So those three bombs, not really three, I guess. Two Kokrak at 80 is kind of a bomb, but those three guys I put sprinkles on, with their odds being so high, you don't have to allocate too much to them. The thing I'm looking at right now is kind of the same thing with the Rory and JT. Do I want to bet two of those? Do I want to bet one? Cantlay, super interesting to me at 25. It might be, JT, Rory, Cantlay. Figure out of those three guys, do I want to bet one or two of those guys, and then kind of call it a day. I think DraftKings wise, like I said, I really like Shane Lowry and his price point. I think he's a really good play. And then I think Brooks might be end up him and Rom from up top will be my two highest owned guys.
Yeah, I like Brooks at his price point the most out of the top guys.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here? I'm gonna make you pick the winner. Who's it gonna be?
I'm using Rory for my one and done this week, so I'm gonna go with Rory, and that's gonna be my winner.
I don't mind that call. I'm using Bryson because I haven't used Bryson yet. So I don't know if I'll use Bryson on DraftKings, but I like him as a one and done. He's a tough guy to get away from. Any of these guys at the top could end up winning. That's the thing about if you're gonna fade guys up the top, just understand that you could definitely end up losing to them because that's why they're the best players in the world. So
quick question for you.
Yep.
How bad does the PGA want Bryson and Brooks to be paired on Sunday, like tied for the lead?
Yeah, it'd be the best thing ever. I think that I did see somebody was tweeting out that they've heard, and I don't know who this person was or if they actually had any of good authority, but they're not going to pair them Thursday and Friday like everybody was hoping. So
Oh no, you can't. You got to save that for the weekend.
we just got to hope that they get in contention. Maybe it'll be paired up together. I think it would be amazing. I feel like the competitors they would just feed off of each other, and you'd see some pretty great golf.
Or you'd see just like tin cup moments, them trying to go for it and just failing miserably because they just want to one up each other.
I don't know. These guys, I'm hoping for it, man. That would be the best. Nice Sunday finish with Brooks and Bryson up top. That'd be pretty sweet as long as I have them.
Yeah.
As long as I have him in DraftKings or something, and I have a chance to win money. If I'm not, if I'm out of it, then maybe that, because I don't know if I'm gonna bet either of those guys. But maybe I'll bet Brooks and just skip out on the whole 20 range. I don't know.
Yeah, just AI on Brooks.
Yeah. But all right, this is the Ballin' Over Beers PGA Bets and DraftKings show for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. That is AK Howe. You can find him on Twitter at Kenny Truelove. You can find me on Twitter at JDiz1617. Make sure you are smashing your like button on the way out and tell us who you think is going to win this year's U.S. Open. If you're listening to it on the audio podcast, leave a 5-star review. Say something good about the show. Those things go a long way for us. Helps the algorithm, helps people find our podcast and gets more listeners to our site. So much appreciated if you can do those things. But appreciate everybody stopping in, and we'll talk to you next time.